Before the storm of conflict erupts, a secret is waiting to break free, one so profound that it could change everything. As Israel and Iran edge closer to war, one question looms: what's really behind this escalating crisis? Is it just about power, land, or something darker, something much more hidden beneath the surface? For centuries, the world has turned a blind eye to the true forces at play, but no longer. The forces that drive nations into conflict, the power struggles that hide in plain sight, and the ideologies that fuel these ancient rivalries, they've been kept in the shadows, and today, we're about to bring them to light. This isn't just another geopolitical story. It's about the unseen hand that pulls the strings of war, the unspoken truths that shape the destiny of millions. As the tension between Israel and Iran grows, you need to know why this conflict isn't as simple as it seems. In this video, we'll unravel the true nature of this deadly game. You'll discover what's really going on behind the headlines. The truth is more complex, more haunting, and more interconnected than you ever imagined. So why is this happening now? What forces are pushing the world to the brink of another devastating war? Stay with me as we dive deep into the heart of this mystery. Together, we'll uncover the truth that has remained hidden for far too long. And by the end, you'll understand why this conflict is not just a matter of politics, but of survival, of power, and of the faith that binds nations in ways you never thought possible. Prepare yourself, because what you're about to learn will change everything you thought you knew about global conflict. Don't forget to comment your thoughts below. This is a conversation we need to have, one that's long overdue. Like, share, and subscribe as we uncover the hidden truths that are shaping our world today. The complex web of Israel and Iran's relationship. The echoes of history reverberate through the land of Israel, where ancient promises and prophecies still shape the present. Iran, too, stands as a nation built on a rich tapestry of belief, culture, and struggle. The bond between these two nations is not merely political. It is deeply woven into the fabric of history, faith, and the dreams of power. From the towering walls of ancient cities to the whispers of current-day leaders, a battle has raged for centuries. One that speaks not just of land or resources, but of survival, identity, and the fulfillment of long-guarded prophecies. As Israel defends its borders with unwavering force, it finds itself at odds with Iran, a nation that has risen from the ashes of its own revolution. Israel's strategic goals have always been clear: maintain superiority, secure its place in a volatile region, and safeguard the legacy of the ancient people. Iran, in return, has made its own choices. It continues to bolster its defense systems, to challenge international norms, to stake its claim in the global order. Each missile launched, each word spoken by its leaders, brings us closer to an inevitable confrontation, a confrontation whose roots lie deep in ancient scriptures and forgotten conflicts. This is not just a geopolitical struggle. It is a clash of destinies, of ideals and ambitions that reach back into the mists of time. And within this battle, there is a lesson for all of us. We cannot simply fight with weapons. We must first win the battle within. Only by understanding the forces that drive us can we hope to heal the wounds that divide us. For as history has shown, when nations battle in the physical realm, it is the soul of the people that suffers most. The unseen hand of America in the Israel-Iran conflict. As Israel turns to its ally, America, for support, the relationship becomes more than just political. It becomes a lifeline. The connection between these two nations has always been more than transactional. It is one built on shared values, common goals, and a commitment to security. But when these alliances grow too tight, they can become a burden, pulling both nations into a spiral of conflict they cannot escape. For Israel, America has been a source of strength, its military might, its economic power, and its political influence. But America, too, has its own ambitions. Its involvement in Israel's defense is not just a gesture of friendship, but a strategic maneuver to maintain dominance in the Middle East. And in this web of alliances, there is a lesson that rings clear. The more dependent we become on others for our survival, the less control we have over our own fate. Yet beneath this seemingly perfect alliance, there is tension, a tension that has only grown with time. Under the leadership of President Donald Trump, the bond between Israel and America deepened. But in the process, the risks increased. The very nature of their relationship has shifted, becoming more volatile, more unpredictable. The question arises, can a nation ever truly stand on its own, or will it always need the hand of another to guide its destiny? The story of America's involvement in the Israel-Iran conflict is not just about military support. It is about influence, about shaping the future of the region. And as the world watches, we must ask ourselves, are we truly free to choose our own path? Or are we being manipulated by unseen forces that control our every move? The stakes of nuclear power, a path to destruction or survival. In the heart of the conflict between Israel and Iran lies a question that echoes through the corridors of history. What price are we willing to pay for power? For Iran, the pursuit of nuclear capabilities is not just a matter of national pride, it is a matter of survival. The Islamic Republic has long sought to build its own nuclear arsenal, viewing it as a shield against the might of Israel and its allies. But as they inch closer to realizing their nuclear ambitions, they also move closer to the brink of war. The world has watched as Iran has defied international treaties and agreements, pursuing a path that could lead to catastrophe. The NPT, Non-Proliferation Treaty, was meant to keep the peace, to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons, but Iran's defiance has raised alarms. As Israel has strengthened its military capabilities, it has also fortified its stance on Iran's nuclear ambitions. The threat of a nuclear-armed Iran is one that Israel cannot and will not ignore. And in this standoff, there is a question that must be asked. When does the pursuit of security become the catalyst for destruction? But this is not just about military might. It is about trust, about belief, and about the future of the world. What will happen if Iran chooses to defy the international community and continue its pursuit of nuclear weapons? What will happen if Israel, in turn, chooses to strike preemptively, igniting a firestorm that could change the course of history? In this moment, we must reflect on the lessons of the past, the lessons that teach us that the thirst for power often leads to destruction. For as we seek to secure our future, we must ask, are we truly prepared to pay the price for this power? The story of the nuclear arms race between Israel and Iran is not just about weapons. It is about the soul of a nation, about the choices we make in the face of fear, and about the legacy we leave for future generations. In the end, the greatest power is not the one that can destroy, but the one that can heal. And as we face the possibility of war, we must ask, will we choose to destroy, or will we choose to heal? The global consequences of a war between Israel and Iran. A storm is brewing, one that threatens to engulf not just the Middle East, but the entire world. The rising tension between Israel and Iran is not just a regional conflict. It is a flashpoint that could ignite global consequences. Imagine the weight of this impending clash, a moment that could shift the very axis of power in the world. What happens when two of the most powerful and ideologically entrenched nations collide? The ripples will be felt far beyond their borders, affecting countries across the globe, shaking the foundations of security and peace. The world stands at the edge, witnessing a delicate balance teetering on the brink of chaos. Russia and China, with their own vested interests, are watching with keen eyes. If war erupts between Israel and Iran, these global giants will undoubtedly play their part. The Middle East will no longer be the only battlefield. The ripples will extend to Europe, Asia, and even the farthest corners of the earth. Wars have a way of bleeding beyond borders, reshaping alliances, and forging new enemies in the process. The implications of such a conflict stretch beyond what we can easily comprehend. It is not simply about military strategies, territorial claims, or ideological supremacy. This is about a profound shift in the balance of global power, a shift that could alter the course of history. The oil markets, the global economy, and the delicate diplomacy between nations could all collapse in the wake of this storm. The lives of millions of innocent people could hang in the balance, as the world is pulled into a conflict not of their choosing. And in this moment of darkness, there is a stark truth that we must confront. The cost of war is not just counted in the blood of soldiers, but in the destruction of the very essence of life itself. The price of unchecked aggression is measured not only in land, but in the loss of human potential. If we are to avoid this tragedy, we must look within and ask ourselves, can we change the course of destiny before it is too late? The path to peace. Can diplomacy save the world? In the midst of such overwhelming uncertainty, there lies a glimmer of hope. There is a path, a narrow road perhaps, but a path nonetheless, towards peace. But this road will not be paved with easy promises or empty gestures. True peace requires the courage to see beyond our differences, to acknowledge the pain of the other, and to confront the shadows that threaten to consume us all. Diplomacy, the ancient art of negotiation and compromise, offers a way out of this crisis. But it is a path that demands both humility and strength. The lessons of history remind us that peace is not won by force alone. It is won by understanding, by dialogue, and by the willingness to lay down our weapons in favor of healing. This is where the real challenge lies, not in the battlefield, but in the hearts of men and women who must choose to lay down their egos, their pride, and their fears in pursuit of a greater good. Look at the past, at the moments when nations stood on the brink of destruction, yet found the strength to walk away from the precipice. The Oslo Accords, the peace process between Israel and Palestine, these were not perfect solutions, but they represented a step forward. They were a testament to the power of diplomacy, to the belief that even the most entrenched divisions can be overcome through honest communication and shared sacrifice. But peace is fragile. History has shown us that when trust is broken, it is hard to rebuild. The wounds between Israel and Iran are deep, shaped by years of fear, hatred, and mistrust. The challenge of peace is not simply in the negotiations, but in the hearts of the people. Can they see each other not as enemies, but as fellow human beings, with the same hopes, dreams, and fears? Can they find common ground in the midst of their profound differences? This is where true healing begins, not on the battlefields of politics and war, but in the hearts of individuals. If Israel and Iran are to find peace, it will not be through military might or political maneuvering alone, but through a profound change in how they see one another. And this is not just a lesson for these nations, it is a lesson for all of us. How often do we allow our differences to divide us, when in truth, we are all bound by the same human need for love, understanding, and peace? The road to peace begins within, and it is only through this inner transformation that we can hope to heal the wounds that threaten to tear the world apart. So, as we face the uncertainty of the future, let us choose the path of peace. Let us reject the rhetoric of violence and war, and instead embrace the power of dialogue, understanding, and forgiveness. For in the end, it is not the weapons we wield, but the hearts we touch that will determine the future of humanity. The war between Israel and Iran is a shadow that looms large, but we have the power to rewrite the narrative. If we choose the path of peace, if we choose healing over destruction, then we can create a world where love and understanding triumph over hatred and fear. This is the choice we must make, not just for Israel and Iran, but for ourselves and for the generations that will follow. The path to peace. Can diplomacy save us from the brink of war? In the midst of the swirling storm, when the skies darken with the clouds of conflict, there lies a glimmer of hope, a thread of possibility that can pull us back from the edge of destruction. This is the path of peace. It is not a simple road, nor an easy one to walk. Yet it is the only way that we, as a collective humanity, can avoid the darkness that threatens to swallow us whole. Peace is not born from weakness, nor is it the product of surrender. It is forged in the crucible of understanding, in the willingness to see beyond the bitterness, the hatred, the fear that divides us. It requires a humility that transcends national pride and a vision that rises above individual interests. True peace is a divine gift, a gift that cannot be seized by force or through manipulation, but only by the strength of our hearts and the depth of our commitment to healing the wounds we have inflicted on one another. Look at the lessons of history. There have been countless moments when nations stood at the precipice of war, their armies poised for battle, their people trembling in fear. But in the midst of the chaos, voices of reason, voices of peace, have risen. Leaders who dared to speak the truth, who sought not to dominate but to reconcile. Their courage did not lie in their ability to fight, but in their willingness to listen, to forgive, and to build something new from the rubble of destruction. Take, for example, the peace talks between Israel and Palestine, though fraught with setbacks and heartbreak. These negotiations were not merely about land, they were about the human heart. They were about acknowledging the pain of the other, about stepping away from the cycles of violence that had ensnared both peoples for generations. They were about asking the question, what can we build together instead of tearing apart what little we have left? This is the challenge we face today with Israel and Iran. Their differences are not merely political or ideological, they are rooted in the very soul of their nations, in the hopes and fears that have been passed down from one generation to the next. But within these divisions, there is the possibility for healing, and healing begins not when we demand our own way, but when we choose to listen, when we decide to see the humanity in the other, and when we realize that the ultimate battle is not over land or power, but over love and peace. Peace does not mean weakness, it means strength. It means the strength to lay down our arms and to choose the harder path of dialogue. It is the courage to extend a hand when every instinct tells us to strike. It is the grace to forgive, not because we are weak, but because we are strong enough to break the cycle of vengeance that has brought us to this point. If Israel and Iran are to find peace, it will not be in the silence of war, but in the voice of reconciliation. It will be in the words that are spoken, in the trust that is built, and in the commitments that are kept. For it is through these acts of love and understanding that we will break free from the chains of hatred and fear that bind us. And it is not just for Israel and Iran to learn these lessons. It is for all of us, for every nation, every individual, to understand that peace begins within us. We must ask ourselves, how often do we let fear guide our decisions? How often do we allow the wounds of the past to dictate our future? We must look into our hearts and choose peace, not because it is easy, but because it is the only way to heal, to rebuild, and to make the world a better place for all. So, as the storm clouds gather and the drums of war beat louder, we must ask, can we choose peace? Will we choose to heal instead of destroy, to listen instead of fight, to forgive instead of condemn? The path is not easy, but it is the path that leads to life. It is the only path that will save us. And in the end, it is the only choice that matters. For when we choose peace, we are not simply choosing the absence of war. We are choosing a world where love, understanding, and compassion reign, where the heart of humanity beats strong, and where the legacy we leave is one of healing, not harm. This is the challenge we face, and this is the choice we must make, not just for Israel and Iran, but for all of us as a global family. As the dust settles on the horizon, one truth becomes undeniably clear. Peace is not just a choice. It is the most courageous decision we can make. And yet, in a world full of chaos, where the weight of conflict bears down on us with unrelenting force, how can we choose peace? How can we rise above the noise, above the anger, and find the clarity needed to heal the wounds that separate us? The answer is simple, yet profound. Peace begins within. It begins with the decision to choose love over fear, understanding over hatred. It begins with the belief that despite all the darkness, there is a light we can hold on to, a light that has the power to dispel even the deepest shadows. And in a world that seems to be spinning out of control, where division and strife seem inevitable, it is this light that we must seek, nurture, and share with others. It is through this light that we can rebuild not only our broken hearts, but our broken world. This is not just a message for Israel or Iran, or for any nation at war. This is a message for each of us, individually. No matter where you are in life, no matter what battles you face, whether they are personal or global, the peace you seek starts in your heart. And the more we choose peace within ourselves, the more we create a ripple effect that spreads throughout the world. It may seem impossible, but every act of kindness, every moment of forgiveness, every decision to rise above the hate that surrounds us is a victory for peace. Look around you. In the faces of those you love, in the people you encounter each day, you will see the same yearning for peace that beats in your own heart. We are all connected, bound together by the same dreams, fears, and hopes for a better tomorrow. And just as the conflicts in distant lands impact us all, so too can the smallest acts of love have a profound and lasting effect on the world around us. So, if you find yourself struggling to find peace, remember this: peace is not something we find in the world around us. It is something we must create within ourselves. It is something that is built over time, through small, deliberate acts of kindness, through the decision to choose love over hate and forgiveness over anger. This is the power we hold in our hands, the power to transform the world by transforming ourselves. And as we walk this journey, remember that you are not alone. We are all on this path together. We are all seeking that same peace, that same healing, that same light. And as we share this journey, we can lift each other up, support each other, and remind each other that we are capable of creating a world of peace, one small step at a time. If this video has touched your heart, if it has brought you even a small measure of peace or understanding, I invite you to show your support. Every like, every comment, and every share is a contribution to the energy of healing that we are building together. Your support, no matter how small, is a gift that I treasure with all my heart. It allows me to continue sharing the message of hope, faith, and peace with all who need it. I believe in the power of community, and I believe that together we can create a world that reflects the love and compassion we all long for. So, if you feel moved by this message, if you believe that this is the truth we need in a world filled with noise, I invite you to be a part of this journey. Like, share, and comment with your thoughts, because your voice matters. And together we can make a difference. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. Your presence is a light in this world, and I am grateful for you. Let's continue to walk this path of peace, hand in hand, knowing that every step we take brings us closer to the world we all deserve, a world of love, compassion, and understanding.